before we actually dive into the conversation, because this video is definitely going to be uploaded on my channel, and for the viewers, because I have the idea that to whom I'm talking at this very moment. But for the viewers, I would definitely like you to tell something about.
It's a long story. I will keep on talking then. But meanwhile, I may not talk about few things. You just raise questions and then I'll answer. Then it will be a good two-way communication,
Okay,
I can say.
okay, right.
Whatever
But
questions come into your mind, please feel free to ask. Qualified English teacher, so I'm not just a spoken English trainer. I have so much experience. So I don't want to confine myself to saying just a tutor. Okay. So,
okay,
what I feel people should know more about me other than knowing me as just a tutor. So, I would like to
okay.
share my story.
Then, I'm going to leave the ball in your court, Surbi. You please tell the audience about you.
Yeah, so talking about me, my name is Surbhi Goyal, and I'm originally from a small town named Mandi Gobindgarh from Punjab. So, Mandi Gobindgarh is known for its iron and steel industries. And after marriage, I'm settled in Panchkula. So, you can say it's a neighbor of Chandigarh. So, you can say I'm from Chandigarh now. And talking about my education, I did my Master's of Arts in English Literature and Bachelor's of Education from Punjab University. I started off my career as a as an assistant professor of business communication skills. And then after marriage, also, I worked on the same profile, but then I changed my job and then I worked as an English teacher at school. And I also worked as a spoken English trainer and personality development trainer in a very reputed institute. And now I offer classes, group classes, and sometimes one on one sessions to all kinds of learners. And besides, I'm also a tutor at englishyaari. And yes, I have a YouTube channel also, which is Easy Learning with Surbi. So the content is all about English, communication, personal growth, all that. That's all about me.
Great. Nice to know about you. Surbi, I'm Kawaljit.
Yes,
You are
ma'am, I
familiar
was
with,
about to ask you that. Please tell me more about you. You were
yeah.
sending me emails.
And I hail from Jalandhar, a beautiful small city of mighty Punjab. And my education has been from Guru Nanak Dev University. I did
Hmm.
my master's, my MPhil, and my doctorate from the campus itself.
Oh,
So you can have the idea that I belong to the arena of education, because after attaining so much of the degrees, for the girls, and at least for the girls of middle class families, this is considered as the best option to go for teaching. For about 2 decades, I have been in teaching, and I have taught, I think, thousands of college students. And now for the last 1 decade, I am into administration. Like, from one side of the table, I have moved to the other side. But I have seen, now my question is coming to you, because you are from English background. I'm a science graduate. Okay, of course, science is being taught in English, but teaching or studying any subject in English is altogether different from conversing with somebody in the language.
yeah.
And for the last 1 year, you can say, I took it very seriously that I must work on my communication skills, because so before that, whatever vocabulary I was familiar with, or the part of grammar I knew, that was simply confined to something related to my subject. Like in sciences, we have cycles or some theories or something like that. Only you that on my journey of this honing my communication skills or learning English, you can say, I have talked to so many people, even the people who have attained their degrees in this very subject, but they are also on this platform.
Hmm.
I want you to share your experience of, like, how did you attain this competency? Like, again, though you achieved your degree in English itself, but I have talked to so many people who have their master's degree or above that degree in the subject, but they are still learning it. So
Hmm.
your tips for those persons, if you share your some experience, or you want to share some tips with the viewers of that particular category or group.
Okay, you mean that people have been from their background where they learned English, they did their masters in English, right?
That
And
is,
yet they are learning.
yeah, like I told you that I'm a science graduate, so it is
Hmm.
obvious that you can't expect, exceptions are always there. You can't expect that somebody who is from science background or any other who has not done degree in English should be
Hmm.
good at, might be, can be an exception good at English, but may not be. But the persons who attain their degrees in English itself, I have seen they can't speak well.
Yeah,
Could I make
I've
my
seen that.
point? Yeah.
Yes.
Your tips for at number one for those persons who have the degrees, that what should they do, that how did you attain your competency, and your tips for them, I want
Hmm.
you to share.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. So first of all, like you said that I'm from English background. So let me tell you, I wasn't. Like I was born in a Punjabi family, and there was no such environment of English there. And that too, I was in a small town. Nobody actually talked in English, not even a single word I can say. Until one day, my parents enrolled me in a new school in our town. So there was a new school opened in our town, and it was the talk of the town, I can say, because it was an air-conditioned school. And also, the best point about that school was nobody was allowed to speak in Hindi. Everyone had to speak in English no matter what. Speak in English, else you stay quiet. That was the rule. And I used to stay quiet because I don't know English at all. So I can say initial years, I can say 2 years were quite tough for me. uh, in the third year, like when I was in grade 8, I started speaking in English, and that too was broken English. So actually, what happened in all those 2 years while I was there, my teachers around me, they used to speak in English. So how I started speaking, actually, my mind uh, kept on listening to those teachers, right? So it started picking the words. So, we think that how will we learn word? Let me tell you, our mind is really fast. It works really faster. It's like a, computer CPU. So it stores all the information. So when it stores that information, and suddenly one day I started speaking because there was such a situation that had to, that demanded me to speak in front of my teacher. It was completely broken English. But even then, I can say I was not good at it. It took me, I can say that then I enrolled in some other school and it was not that up to the mark. So since I had interest in English literature since my, I can say, graduation, in graduation I decided that I would go for masters in English literature only. So I started that. Now, answering to that why people can't speak. So, ma'am, let me tell you, when you do your masters in English, okay, you don't speak, you can only listen to English from your professors, okay? You don't really talk in English with your friends. Like I was a hostler, I was in hostel, so there was no environment. Nobody really talked in English, but just my professors. So what happens in classes? You sit, you listen to them, that's it. But then you're not speaking. What's the point? And when we are a student, we usually run after marks. We don't run after knowledge like it is shown in the movie Three Idiots. And that's a fact. And I think that's natural also, because then we have certain kind of pressure from everyone that we have to score marks. So you really don't learn English. The key to learn any language is speaking. Okay. So if you are not speaking every day with anyone, you cannot learn language. No matter, even if you're doing PhD, but you're not talking, you're just working related to that subject, and your knowledge is just confined to the books only, you cannot become a speaker. So it is a myth when people say, oh, that person has done masters in English and she's not, yet she's not able to speak. Then they say maybe ऐसे degree, fake degree ले ली. People think that way. So it's not the case. It's about environment. We really didn't have that kind of environment. I can say I started speaking English actually when I started becoming fluent. It was when I, yes.
Survey. Actually, I am under the weather. but I
Oh,
didn't want to miss this session. Just let me have water.
yeah, yeah. Please, ma'am, please.
Because there is a transition of season these days.
Yeah, we could have fixed another date, ma'am. It was absolutely okay.
Hmm. No, no. Thing is, I'm busy in the morning. I'm busy in the morning in my office. So I
Hmm.
am spare with the evenings only. But this kind of thing when you are having choking throat and coughing and
Yeah.
cold, it lasts longer.
Uh,
So you can't stop working, you can't stop anything. So that way I took a chance that I will continue with the session. Let's see how it goes. And moreover,
yeah.
it was you on the other side. So that was, I was too inquisitive to talk to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. That I actually started speaking English when I entered into teaching profession. So what
Okay.
happened? Like I became an assistant professor. I got the job on the basis of my hard skills, I can say. Okay, my knowledge related to that subject. So before delivering any lecture, at university. So I made sure that I did some thorough research on any topic that I was going to teach the following day. For example, if I had to teach prepositions, example, prepositions. So I would make sure I read many, number of examples. I would read some paragraph based on that so that my students, if they ask me any question, I should be ready with that. I didn't want to fumble in front of them. So
Mm.
in order to teach so that I could teach properly and efficiently to my students, I would read so much related to my subject, related to the topics. And that's how I started gaining more vocabulary. That's how I enriched my English language skills. And when I would deliver the lecture, I was speaking in English, of course. So actually, that situation helped me become more fluent with time, I can say. Yeah.
Mm.
So that is my story. And that's how I started speaking more efficiently.
So that way we can say moral of the story is that more you speak, more you gain.
Yeah,
Because speaking
absolutely.
comes with speaking only. Because even listening is also very important. Suppose if you are speaking and I'm listening, to some extent, after going through your journey, I resonate myself with you. When I came into teaching, because I had been a very average kind of student. Of course, for the parents, it was a kind of, she's hardworking, she's intelligent, but from the heart of my hearts, I know the fact. I was an average student,
Hmm.
but at that time, to seek admission at the university level, now the universities have popped up like anything. They have
Yeah.
mushroomed, and so many students, they very easily they get admission, but at that time it was not so easy.
Hmm.
But I know when I came into teaching, I did the same thing, because so many concepts related to my subject were not clear to me when I was a student. So after coming into teaching, I use suppose tomorrow I have to deliver the lecture, and the day before that I would go through each and everything and start
Yeah.
imagining, creating scene inside my mind.
Yeah.
And then that day I went on, and one fine day I would like to take pride in it, Surabhi. One fine day I reached at that stage where my students used to adore me. So that is related to my subject only. But these days I have developed a love for this language, because I grew up as a child with low self-esteem, and I had always been, maybe you can say accidentally or perchance, surrounded by those friends who could converse very well about
Hmm.
30 years back. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
But that thing I couldn't, took away out of my mind like that. Because of that thing, I couldn't dare to speak up in public. Though
Hmm.
over the years, being a teacher, I might have done so much of the things on the bigger platforms, being on the stage, everything. But this complex had always been there, that if you don't know English, it means you are lacking something big in your life.
Yeah.
So I am trying to come out of it at this very moment. I am really, I started loving it. So I always like, if when I went through one video, you were talking to one of the YouTubers, and I am also, I had my session with that girl. What do? I would like to listen the simple sentences again and again. Like you two persons are conversing, you're talking whatever you people were talking. I used to again go back and then listen, go back and listen, that in what way these simple kind of sentences are framed.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah, you have to put in the efforts. So that was the
Yeah,
thing I think you wanted
absolutely.
to conclude, that
See,
you
what
have to put in.
see, I tell you, listening, reading, whatever you do, you are learning something out of it, right? You can speak only when you have enough vocabulary, enough sentences. So for that, listening really helps you. If you think you can understand the audios, English audios, But for beginners, I can say, who are beginners, I always ask them to read. Reading is very important. Reading has helped me personally. So when you read at your own speed. You're never in a rush, right? So when you read, you come across many new words and new phrases, different sentence patterns. With time, you start picking that and then you speak. Try that in your speech. And hello, ma'am, are you there? Video is stuck actually. No, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
something happened. Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah,
make out what happened. Okay, okay,
yeah.
okay.
But was I audible while I was speaking all that?
No, 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 no.
Oh,
Your
oh,
picture got stuck and your
oh,
voice was not, I couldn't hear
okay,
you
okay.
also.
Okay. So, ma'am, I was
Okay.
saying that listening and reading, these are considered, in my opinion, these are considered to be passive activities to learn this language. But let me tell you, these are very useful. These have helped me personally. So, whenever I would read anything, and when I say reading, something people think that, ma'am, we have to read newspapers. See, I'm not fond of reading newspapers, so I really don't tell anyone to read newspaper. Whatever they like, read that. Like, I like reading short stories, moralistic stories, sometimes children's stories too. I love that. So start with that. You really don't have to think and to prove yourself that, oh God, I'm an adult now, how come I'll read such kind of books? But no, these books are so engaging, it really holds your attention. So read something and listen to something that you love. See, whatever you like, do that only, because then you will stay consistent. If you are doing something you really don't like and you're really not into it, you will end up giving up. So
Hmm.
listen to something, like for example, I like listening to Priyanka Chopra's speeches. I really like her, I really admire her for her journey. So I love listening to her, and whenever I listen to her, honestly speaking, I pick her American accent also, because I'm so much into it, but then I try not to speak in that accent. I love my own Indian English accent. So I use that, and that's how. And if you're not able to speak in the beginning, start writing them. Like when I was a child, I can say till my teenage, I would write sometimes because I was introvert kind of a person. So I would write whenever I thought that I needed to express myself. So reading is the best option for those people who can't speak. You can write in your own speed, and then you can think and again write them down, and then later you improve. Later those words start coming in on your tongue also. But try, speak. Yeah, that's the thing.
Miss Survi, there is so much we can discuss about this language only, but that way this video would go, very lengthy, become longer. And one very simple question which we normally, whenever we converse with each other, and sometimes it pops up from the other side also, especially because you just mentioned, you talked about the beginners. Uh, Grammar is something which is very confusing and it gives attention to the learners. Because if you go back to the school or college days, not the college, at school time, we were taught this subject, that it has always been scary for the beginners. Like suppose today, I'm a totally raw person and I have pledged, okay, I'm going to start this journey, but I'm scared of grammar. Any tip for person like that? Vocabulary, because you were mentioning everything about
Yeah,
vocabulary, how to enrich vocabulary. But now out of vocabulary and grammar, where from should I start taking the first step?
both are important, ma'am. Both are important. For example, if today I have to learn French language, I may understand the basic sentences, okay? But to understand the sentence structure, I have to understand tenses I have to understand the usage of prepositions, maybe connectors, right? So grammar is very important for everything, and so is vocabulary. But the point is why beginners are scared or anyone is scared of grammar because they don't know how to study grammar. What they think that they have to pick up thick books and they have to go through all those lessons. No, you really don't have to do that. Just read something. Okay, for example, you're searching for some reading articles, read those, and with time you will start understanding. And you won't need any logic that why am I using present continuous, why am I not using past continuous, because you will be able to relate with the story. If this writer is talking about past actions, he's using was, like when I
Hmm.
was a child, I used to do this and that. There were 10 members in my family, like that. So
Yeah.
when you read that context, you will understand, naturally, your mind will understand that these are past actions. So we have to build sentences like that. And if we are talking about the present action, we have to study like that or we have to speak like that. So this way you will understand. But I always say few topics are mandatory for your, efficient speech. So you must know tenses, but you really don't have to dig deep. Don't go, you don't have to go deep in the rules, verb first, second, third form. Basics are okay. Just go with the basic, like tenses or sentence connectors, few prepositions. So three, four topics are okay, and you're good to go with that. So you can read and then understand grammar with help of that. You really don't need to open your grammar books. Yeah, that is
So
the
that way, everything is important. It is a complete package, and one should start taking baby steps. Everything
yeah,
is important.
right, right. You see,
Hmm.
I never went for any spoken English class. I learned it
Right.
myself, and at that time, my subject was English, so I had to study grammar books. All right,
Yeah.
which really helped me, really helped me. But to those who are into other sectors, they are students. So what I can say, just read something. If see, ma'am, there is one thing always with everybody. There is one thing that is must known that if you have curiosity, if you have desire to learn something, no matter what, you will learn because there are ample number of resources to learn. YouTube is an ocean. Free knowledge is available. The point is we are over consuming content, but you really don't have to do that. And while focusing on language, please stay focused. Don't get distracted, because what happens is when we start watching something on phone, then sometimes messages are popping up, and then sometimes we get we switched on to the reels, so that's how we get distracted. So that is why I made one video where I mentioned to everyone, you don't have to study from phone. This
Because you are giving beautiful tips, and I'm also kind of person who does reading, frankly speaking. But the moment you are advocating much on reading, like one should read to enrich the vocabulary, so I was just listening and okay, Kawaljit, you should start working on it. Reading is very important, and it's being
yes,
told to you by an expert. So definitely if something is advocated by an expert, that is something which is to be taken, or like you should take a serious note of that. So
yes,
with
ma'am.
all this, thank you very much. And I would like, definitely like that the students, even I have a plethora of students around me, though they don't want, because Punjabis, they don't want to converse in English. This is something which is, that still feel today in the college I was advocating the same thing, ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਬੋਲਦਾ ਨਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣਗੇ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ ਚਲੇ ਗਏ ਔਰ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਛੋੜ ਗਏ. They have this kind of attitude. But
Ah,
I was trying to convince them that in today's scenario, English is a very important thing.
yeah,
Whether you talk to each other or you join some professional kind of platform. But please bache you start working on this language, it is very
Yes.
important. I would like that if they suppose stumble upon this video, that they should join this course, which you are going to start very soon. And once again, Miss Surbi, thank you very much. You really spared your this time out of your hectic schedule. I know, because you are a homemaker, you are a professional, you are giving online, offline classes as well. Thank you very much for sparing time for me.
Thank
Hope
you,
to see
ma'am.
you
No,
in
it was
future
my
again.
pleasure to be
Thank
here.
you.
Yeah,